Hello, my name is Dante Renee, and welcome to the 10 Room Bizarro YouTube page where I talk about films that I believe need to be talked about more. Like tonight's film, this is 1988's Blind Faith. Whoa, 1988's Blind Faith. Now, she has a shirt on, but just because it seems like she might not, I'm covering it. But here it is, folks. Blind Faith from 1988, shot on video, and it's based upon the true story of Philadelphia serial killer Gary Heidnik. I do have some history in the city of Philadelphia personally in my life, and that name actually rings a bell. The last name rings a bell. Heidnik. Wow. And the director is Dean Wilson, who has supposedly had about a 40-year career. Wow. Blind Faith, 1988. Let's get into this film. You're going to see my eyes divert as I have taken notes. This is quite possibly one of the most unique shot-on-video films I've ever seen. Now, what's interesting about shot-on-video is that it's an aesthetic that people either love or they hate. And people tend to just kind of group SOVs into their own subgenre, no matter what the genre is. I mean, it could be sleaze, it could be exploitation, it could be horror, it could even be hardcore. And they'll just say, it's SOV, you know. But there are some real unique diamonds in the rough in the SOV genre that really stand out apart from the rest of the group. And Blind Faith is one of them. Now, one of the themes we have in this film is the fear of losing your mind. Now, this is interesting because you have the fear of losing your body, which could be a big fear, right? Being trapped in your own body, ALS, being paralyzed, like Metallica's song One, which when I was a kid, I just thought it was cool. And then I became older and realized, holy crap, that's terrifying, because as you get older, your chances for getting the most horrendous diseases way beyond your control goes up tenfold. ALS included. And there is the fear of being trapped inside of your body. But there's also the fear of losing your mind. Sometimes when you watch psychological horror films, you wonder, or people who watch serial killer films or true crime shows, you might wonder, how does someone get to that point? And the scarier question is, are we all in the starting position equally to get to that point? A question that's probably not very easy to ask ourselves. And it's scary, but losing control of your mind, losing control of your body, losing control. As I got older, I realized Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2 is the scariest Nightmare on Elm Street to me because it deals with the fear of losing all control of your life, your body, your mind, everything. To the point where you could be sleeping in your best friend's room and beyond your control, you kill him in your sleep. There's actually something called homicidal somnambulism. Look it up. It's where people kill somebody sleepwalking. And it could be a family member, it could be a spouse, and obviously it's very difficult to hold up in court. But the fear of losing your mind, the fear of losing your stability, your family, your self-control, the dreams and the goals for your life. Those are some pretty big fears. When I was a kid, I might say, 1,000-leggers, those things are in your house that go real fast predominantly, I guess, the East Coast of America. But As I got older, it's like, no, the fear of losing control. And this movie deals with that. Addiction, secrets, fantasies. And there's this really sophisticated play with the viewer early on in the film in a sex scene that is a great bookend for the film, number one. But number two, the play that it does with the viewer really kind of shows you the sophistication of this SOV film, because it blindsided me a little bit in that sex scene. We have a cult, not a cult, we have a cult, okay? A group of people with a charismatic leader, sex and sex cult, and religious cult, money, fetishes versus torture. Now, this is a very big theme in Blind Faith. The differences between fetishes and torture. What are the similarities? Can they be connected? But how far? What defines each one by the boundaries? Murder, captivity, torture, of course, as I mentioned. And Blind Faith, like 98% of the film, pretty much the entire film, is the enclosed space of an interrogation room. And this is what's just so fascinating about this SOV film, because it depends so much on acting, which is great. It depends so much on the characters, who are great. Literally 98% of it is in the interrogation room. And we have looming darkness, the mystery of interrogation revealing slowly, and not so slowly, the horror. Now, I can't remember the last time that I was looking at spoken word characters, just the spoken word, and darkness was developing, just rolling and developing further and further and further. A nightmare. What is the conclusion of this nightmare? Where are we going? What is happening? Where is this train moving me to in this movie? The movie is the train. The story is the train. Where am I going? So just the spoken word of an interrogation being horrific, being like the Blair Witch Project, the mystery being revealed, hanging on every word. Acting, characters, amazing. So much tension in this film, with the characters individually and the characters collectively. The question, can someone break you with their questions or their words? The power of conviction. Can someone convict you with their words or their questions? Break you down, reveal yourself. In Christian theology, they will use the idea of conviction as something beyond the legal perspectives, but in the kind of God perspective of, kind of the Godhead bringing an element of guilt, a feeling of guilt for repentance to a human being. And on that note, religion versus police methods. That is something else that is in this film. Building and building and building an atmosphere of words, an evil atmosphere of words. The last location of this film reminded me of the descent into the basement of the Blair Witch Project, Part 1. There are very realistic scenes of blood and torture and screaming, which you can get a little bit of a perspective on just on the front here. Some nightmarish imagery in this film, some sexual imagery, some sexual dialogue, some violent dialogue, disturbing dialogue, and disturbing visuals, as well as we are seeing what people are talking about. Okay, kind of in the, they're speaking and then you're seeing it, what has already happened, and then we kind of get into the present as well. And unbelievable realism in the violence and in the gore and in the torture. And there's an unknown quality to this film, to the last frame, because I can honestly tell you I do not know what happened. And I thought I was dumb, and then I looked it up, and there was somebody else online who didn't know what happened either at the end. But it made it even more mysterious to me. It made it even more dark to me, like the closing frame of the original Blair Witch Project, where the first time I saw that film, I didn't know what the hell was going on. I didn't know what am I looking at? And I hear the that, remember that? I didn't know what I was looking at. And similar to this film, there's a line that's uttered, and I'm still trying to process it in context of the whole film, especially the beginning of the film. There's a lot of complexity in here. There's a lot of weighty themes in here, and the ending of the film adds a unknown quality, a mysterious darkness that was looming through the whole film. You know what? There is something very, very evil, something very, very dark about the unknown.